Center. We'll be talking about the 23rd annual Langston Hughes Community Poetry Reading. And here we have someone on their committee, Yon Tande, who is back. He has been on the show before. He's program director for Southside Cultural Center of Rhode Island, but also on this committee, so you helped to sort of organize this event.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the Langston Hughes Poetry Reading. 23 years of this happening. Tell us a little bit about how it was formed and the yearly event.
Okay, so the yearly event was the brainchild of Ann Edmonds Clanton, who was the then director, founder, and executive director of the Langston Hughes Center of Arts and Education, which doesn't exist anymore. But she was involved in a Walt Whitman reading. And the year after that, this was 1994, a year after that she decided, well, let's do a Langston Hughes to celebrate the words and the works of Langston Hughes, but on his birthday. So this is why the event is always in February, usually that first weekend of February, because his birthday was February 1st.
And it is his 116th birthday
That's
this
right.
February, which is
Wow.
crazy. It is crazy because part of the reason why this is such a great event is just because his poetry remains so relevant.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit, in your own opinion, why do you feel like Langston Hughes' poetry is always so relevant to our community?
Well, I think initially I think that his poetry is significant because they called him the sort of the people's poet, and the poet laureate of Harlem. And I think that it's really important because at some point, at one point in his career, he started writing in vernacular. So that means writing using the words of the streets.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the words of the people, the way people talked in the streets, and in the communities of Harlem. And so I think that really made that connection, that he's really trying to connect these stories with the lives of people that are actually living. And so it shows the depth of his writing, it shows the concern for his writing, for the people that he's writing about. And I think that connects to everyone. That really keen interest in communicating with a community. Yeah.
And he had a real, what's the word I'm looking for? A really accessible style, poetically,
Yes.
that I feel is very easy for people to kind of latch onto and understand in a deep way.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about dreams, dreaming, gaining that thing in life that you want the most. And I don't know a single person who doesn't feel that way. And I know his subjects, were usually based on what he was experiencing, wanting equality.
That's right. Yeah, he had a varied verse, if you will. Concerns from just the poetic form all the way to the really dangerous social issues of the time. And I think that shows the breadth of his work as an artist, to be able to connect in those ways, and the depth of his intellect, which is so important, and which were so many artists of that Harlem Renaissance were working in that way, dispelling the myth, that these African Americans didn't have the language or didn't have the scholarship. And I think that he, really, among others, was really one who was really pushing that boundary, pushing against mainstream society.
Absolutely. And again, the relevance. I mean, I know this event has been going on for over 20 years, but it sort of feels a little bit more relevant over the past couple of years. I know one of his poems, Let America Be America, again, was used in many different activism settings over the past couple of years, because these themes, that poem was written in like the mid-30s, and these are still themes that we're experiencing today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the issues are timeless. Unfortunately, some of the issues are still relevant. I mean, we're still fighting for that equality and that diversity and voice. But I think underneath that is the understanding that art has this power to connect, this power to transform, this power to be an agent of change. And I think that he truly embraces it in a way that makes it relevant today. I mean, it's inspiring the youth. It's inspiring us still today to read his work and to understand the complexities of human existence.
Yes. Amen to that. We're going to talk about all the details as far as the event, but you prepared a little reading, so I would love, now that we're talking about his poetry and how wonderful it is, let's hear a little bit of this.
Great.
In fact, I'll even move out of the way so you can have your little
Right.
moment, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the details
Great.
of the event this weekend. Okay.
Great, thank you. So this poem is the one I read as a member, as a reader last year. It's entitled Birmingham Sunday. It was written September 15th, 1963 by Langston Hughes himself. 4 little girls who went to Sunday school that day and never came back home at all, but left instead their blood upon the wall. With splattered flesh and bloodied Sunday dresses, scorched by dynamite that China made aeons ago. Did not know what China made before China was ever red at all. Would ever redden with their blood this Birmingham on Sunday wall. 4 tiny girls who left their blood upon the wall. In little graves today await the dynamite that might ignite the ancient fuse of dragon kings, whose tomorrow sings a hymn that missionaries never taught Chinese in Christian Sunday school to implement the golden rule. 4 little girls might be awakened someday soon by songs upon the breeze, as yet unfelt among magnolia trees. That's the mice.
Wow. That's powerful and makes me want to cry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, that speaks specifically of that very sad event that happened. So that's the brilliance of someone like Langston Hughes to be able to put that in words, in text, in verse. It's not everybody has that gift, and I certainly don't. But I can read.
That's right, beautifully, by the way.
Thank you.
But that is truly what's wonderful about art, is that it lives on, and now, you know, the memory of those children aren't forgotten.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about the event where you can hear more of his poetry.
Yes.
So it is this weekend, and there are actually 2 different events. One is youth-oriented. So tell us a little bit about both of them.
Okay. So the youth event is Friday at 5:30 to 7 at Southside Cultural Center of Rhode Island. It's a free event. This is an experiment, an educational experiment and a history lesson. The idea is to connect Langston's words and works to the young generation, so that we begin to make accessible the correlation between what he was talking about then and what the social and cultural issues of today are. And so it's really an effort by the AS220 youth program, the Knoll, I'm sorry, I'm gonna check my notes on
Go
that.
for it.
The Knoll Leadership Academy and the Roger Williams and Gilbert Stewart middle schools to really partner to bring these words to life. So they'll be reading they'll be reading Langston Hughes' words that day. And then the second event, which is the main event, the main event is on Sunday at the Providence Public Library, and that is the Langston Hughes Community Poetry Reading event. It is going to include works of Langston's read by luminaries such as Rose Weaver, Ricardo Pitts-Wiley, Ray Rickman, who you always have here.
Amazing.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
our good friend.
And so it's and it really is about bringing the community and celebrating Langston. Really, it really is about the celebration of his words and his works on his birthday, and having the community be able to come together and share these words and keep them alive through the word, through the mouth, through the speaking. You know, to activate them.
Absolutely, and free, completely
it's
free for this, event, and no reason not to go and enjoy this beautiful poetry. Yon Tande, thank you so much for being here again to talk about this event. That is my show for today. Be sure to check out Kate Nagel with News and Politics at 4 o'clock. She has a packed hour, so be sure to check her out. And I will be back again next Tuesday with more arts and entertainment. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.